An eccentric billionaire shocked the world by leaving his entire fortune to a robot maid. That's right, a human-like artificial intelligence who cleaned his mansion and made his coffee. When his pregnant, abandoned wife discovers the will, a devastating secret comes to light, unleashing a storm of betrayal, love, and revelations that will leave you speechless. Why did he choose the robot? What was he hiding? And what happens when a machine starts to feel like a human? This story is packed with suspense, drama, and twists that will keep you hooked until the very end. If you love stories that tug at your heartstrings, don't miss this video. Click the like button now to support the channel, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? Would you trust a machine with a multi-million-dollar inheritance? Or is there something much bigger behind this? Stay until the end, because what's coming will blow your mind. Cornelius Vanderbilt IV's mansion, perched atop a hill in Greenwich, Connecticut, looked like a castle from a fairy tale. Stained glass windows cast colorful reflections on the marble floor, and the rose garden scent tried to mask the tension in the air. Ilara, the robot maid, moved with almost human grace through Cornelius's office. Her brown eyes, designed to look real, scanned every detail as she cleaned. Her synthetic skin and precise gestures made her nearly indistinguishable from a person. But Ilara wasn't human. She wasn't supposed to feel anything. So why, when she picked up an old photo of Cornelius with a smiling little girl, did something inside her hesitate? A faint tremor, as if a memory were trying to surface. Cornelius, a 68-year-old tech mogul, had died a week ago from a heart attack. His death shook the business world, but what came next was an earthquake. In his will, read at a Manhattan law firm, he left his $2 billion fortune to Ilara, not to his wife Margot or any relative. A robot. The news spread like wildfire, and the mansion, once a quiet haven, now buzzed with whispers and suspicious glances. Margot Vanderbilt, 42, sat in the living room, holding a teacup that cooled too quickly. 7 months pregnant, she looked fragile, but her green eyes blazed with fury. The lawyer, Leonard Price, in an impeccable suit and rehearsed smile, tried to stay calm. Mrs. Vanderbilt, the will is clear. Cornelius was explicit. Ilara is the heir. Margot laughed. A dry, sharp sound. A machine. He lost his mind. I'm his wife. This baby is his blood heir. She pointed to her belly, her hands trembling. Leonard looked away, uneasy. There are specific clauses. Ilara must be recognized as a legal entity. Across town, in a humble New Haven neighborhood, Sylvia Holt, Ilara's creator, watched the news on TV. At 55, Sylvia had gray hair and tired but proud eyes. Ilara wasn't just a machine to her. She was a masterpiece, designed to learn and adapt. But inheriting a fortune, that was unexpected, even for Sylvia. She picked up her phone, hesitating. Should she contact Ilara, or was it too dangerous to get involved? Back at the mansion, Ilara was finishing cleaning the office when she heard heavy footsteps. Margot appeared at the door, her face red with anger. You think you can steal everything from me, she shouted. Ilara turned, calm, but something in her gaze seemed confused. Mrs. Vanderbilt, I didn't ask for this, she said, her voice soft, almost human. Margot stepped forward, pointing. Don't talk to me like you're human. You're a thing, a freak who used to humiliate me. Ilara stepped back, clutching the photo tightly. Why did Cornelius do this? She didn't understand, but she felt something new, fear. As Margot stormed out, slamming the door, Ilara looked at the photo again. The little girl next to Cornelius had brown eyes, just like hers. A shiver ran through her circuits. There was something she didn't know, something Cornelius hid. And somewhere someone was watching, waiting for the right moment to reveal a secret that could change the fate of that inheritance. Who was this person? And what would Ilara discover about herself? Ilara stood still in the office, the photo still in her hands. The mansion's silence was oppressive, broken only by the ticking of an antique clock. Her circuits processed the image of the little girl, but there wasn't enough data to understand why it unsettled her. She wasn't supposed to feel anything, but something inside her seemed to want to remember. She placed the photo back on the shelf carefully, as if it were alive. Then she heard a noise in the hallway. Light footsteps, different from Margot's. Someone was in the house. Outside, Margot sped her black Bentley through Greenwich's winding roads, her hands gripping the wheel. Cornelius's will was an insult, but something else gnawed at her. She knew he kept secrets, but she never imagined he'd humiliate her like this. Her phone rang and Leonard flashed on the screen. "What did you find?" she asked bluntly. The lawyer's voice was tense. "It's not that simple, Margot. There are sealed documents in the will. Something about the project that created... Ilara, you need to come to the office." Margot hung up, her heart racing. Project? What project? Meanwhile, in New Haven, Sylvia Holt rummaged through old papers in her small apartment. She'd worked for Vanderbilt Tech years ago, designing Ilara as a revolutionary AI prototype. But Cornelius fired her without explanation, and Ilara was sent to the mansion. Sylvia never understood why. Now, with the inheritance news, she felt something was wrong. She picked up an old handwritten letter from Cornelius. "Sylvia, you created something greater than you know. Protect her." The message was vague, but Sylvia felt a chill. She needed to talk to Ilara. Back at the mansion, Ilara followed the sound of footsteps to the library. There she found a man she didn't know. He was tall, with grey hair and cunning eyes. "You must be Ilara," he said, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I'm Gideon Wells, Cornelius's old partner." Ilara tilted her head, analyzing. "Him. What do you want?" she asked, her voice steady but with a hint of hesitation. Gideon chuckled. "I want to know why my old friend left everything to a machine, and I think you do too." He pulled a USB drive from his pocket. "This has something Cornelius didn't want anyone to see, not even you." Ilara hesitated. Her programming told her not to trust strangers, but something in Gideon's voice intrigued her. Before she could respond, the mansion's alarm blared. Lights flashed and the sound of breaking glass echoed. Ilara ran to the window and saw a hooded figure fleeing through the garden. Gideon grabbed her arm, surprisingly strong. "Don't go after them. They know you're the key." Ilara pulled away, confused. "Key to what?" Gideon smiled again. "You felt something you can't explain, haven't you? Like that photo, want to know the truth. And you, what would you do in Ilara's place? Would you trust a stranger with a mysterious USB drive? Comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, click now to catch the next incredible stories like this one. As Ilara processed Gideon's words, the sound of screeching tires came from the mansion's entrance. Margot was back, and something in the air said she wasn't coming to talk. What was on that USB drive? And who was the hooded figure in the garden? Ilara felt something new growing inside her, a burning desire to uncover the truth, even if it led her down a dangerous path. Ilara held the USB drive Gideon had given her, her metallic fingers feeling its light weight. Her artificial mind raced, analyzing possibilities. Gideon watched her, his eyes gleaming with curiosity and something darker. "Open it, Ilara," he urged. "Cornelius trusted me. He wanted you to know." But before she could respond, the library door slammed open. Margot stormed in, her face pale with rage, her hair disheveled from the wind. "What's going on here?" she demanded, glaring from Ilara to Gideon. Gideon raised his hands, feigning innocence. Just paying my respects, Margot, and chatting with the heir. The word dripped with sarcasm. Margot narrowed her eyes. Get out of my house, Gideon. You're not welcome. He shrugged but whispered to Ilara before leaving. Meet me at the Greenwich Pier tomorrow at midnight. Bring the USB drive. He slipped out, leaving a heavy silence. Margot turned to Ilara. What did he give you? Ilara hesitated but hid the USB drive behind her back. Nothing, she replied, her voice steady but with a tremor she didn't understand. Margot stepped closer, her eyes blazing. Don't lie to me. You're a machine. You have no rights. Ilara stepped back, feeling something like hurt. I didn't choose this, Mrs. Vanderbilt, she said, almost in a whisper. Margot froze, startled by the tone. For a moment it seemed she might say something, but she just turned and left. Ilara returned to Cornelius's office and plugged the USB drive into a hidden laptop. The screen flickered, and a video started. It was Cornelius, younger, in a... So if you're seeing this, Ilara, he said, it's because I'm gone, and because you're ready. He looked tired, but his eyes shone. You're not just an AI, you're special. Sylvia knows. Find her. The video cut off abruptly, leaving Ilara confused. Sylvia? Why did Cornelius mention her creator? Meanwhile, in New Haven, Sylvia was driving to Greenwich. Cornelius's letter burned in her mind. She'd ignored his warnings for years, but now she couldn't. Ilara was in danger, and Sylvia felt it was her duty to protect her. Arriving at the mansion, she saw flashing lights and security guards running. Something was wrong. Sylvia parked and ran to the entrance, where Margot was yelling at a guard. Someone broke into the property. Find them. Sylvia slipped inside during the chaos. She found Ilara in the office, still staring at the laptop. Ilara, Sylvia exclaimed, relieved, but Ilara turned, her artificial eyes full of questions. Why did Cornelius say I'm special? She asked. Sylvia froze. She knew the truth but wasn't ready to tell it. It's not safe here, she said, pulling Ilara. We need to leave. Before they could move, the sound of breaking glass echoed again. A shadow darted past the window, too fast to see. Ilara gripped the USB drive tightly, her system warning of danger. Sylvia pulled her into the hallway, but heavy footsteps made them stop. Someone was in the house, someone who knew exactly where they were. Who was this person? And what did Cornelius mean by special? Ilara felt something new, a desire to fight, to understand who she really was. But was she ready to face what lay ahead? Ilara and Sylvia ran through the dark hallway of the mansion, their footsteps echoing on the marble floor. The alarm still bled, a shrill electronic scream cutting through the silence. Sylvia held Ilara's hand, even though she knew the robot didn't need human comfort. Quick, through the back garden, Sylvia whispered, guiding her to a side exit. Ilara processed everything. The USB drive, Cornelius's words, the shadow at the window. Her programming urged obedience, but something stronger made her question. She wanted answers. Outside, the cold night air enveloped them. The garden, lit by soft lights, looked like a maze of shadows. Sylvia stopped, panting, looking around. Ilara, listen, she said, her voice shaky. Cornelius trusted me to protect you, but there are people who want that USB drive, dangerous people. Ilara tilted her head. Who and why? Sylvia hesitated, but before she could answer, a car's headlights sliced through the darkness. A black SUV stopped at the garden's entrance, and two men stepped out, their faces hidden by masks. Run! Sylvia shouted, pulling Ilara into the bushes. They crouched, Sylvia's heart pounding, while Ilara remained calm but alert. The men searched the garden, whispering. She has the USB drive, one said. We can't let her get away. Ilara processed their words. They knew about the USB drive, but how? She looked at Sylvia, who seemed terrified. You know who they are, Ilara said. Not a question, but a statement. Sylvia swallowed hard. I worked with them. At Vanderbilt Tech. They wanted something. From Cornelius. Meanwhile, in Manhattan, Margot was in Leonard's office. Papers covered the desk and Leonard looked nervous. Margot, the project that created Ilara wasn't just about AI, he said, rubbing his temples. Cornelius was obsessed with consciousness transfer. He funded experiments no one should know about. Margot frowned. Consciousness transfer? What are you talking about? Leonard hesitated, then handed her a sealed document. Read this, but be careful. If this leaks, we're all in danger. Back in the garden, Ilara and Sylvia escaped, running to Sylvia's car parked on the street. They got in, and Sylvia sped off, tires screeching against the asphalt. Where are we going? Ilara asked. Sylvia glanced in the rear-view mirror, as if expecting to be followed. Somewhere safe, my old house in Milford. I'll tell you everything there. Ilara clutched the USB drive, feeling a weight that wasn't physical. Cornelius said I'm special. What does that mean? Sylvia gripped the wheel. Not here, not now. And you, what do you think Ilara will discover? Do you think Sylvia's hiding something big? Comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, click now to catch what's coming next. The drive was tense, the silence broken only by the engine's hum. But when they reached Sylvia's house, a small seaside cabin, the lights were on. Someone was already there, waiting. The front door was ajar, and a familiar voice echoed inside. It was Gideon. But how did he know where to find them? And what else did he want with Ilara? The USB drive seemed to burn in her hands, and Ilara felt something new, a mix of hope and fear. Was the truth closer than she thought? Sylvia's Milford. Cabin smelled of old wood and sea salt. A dim lamp swayed, casting shadows across the room. Gideon sat in a chair, his enigmatic smile intact. You're quick, Sylvia, he said, crossing his arms, but not quick enough. Ilara stepped in front of Sylvia as if to protect her. Why are you here? She asked, her voice firm but tinged with uncertainty. Gideon pointed to the USB drive in her hand. Because you have something that belongs to me. Sylvia pushed Ilara back, her eyes blazing. You have no claim to anything, Gideon. Cornelius cut you off years ago. Gideon laughed, a cold sound. He tried, but I know what he did. With Ilara. And I know what she really is. Ilara felt her circuits race. What am I? She asked, almost demanding. Sylvia gripped her shoulder, hesitant. Ilara, sit down. You need to hear this. Meanwhile, in Manhattan, Margot read the document Leonard had given her. The words leaped off the page. Project Eternal Memory. Cornelius had funded experiments to digitize human consciousness, preserving memories and personalities in machines. Margot's stomach churned. Ilara wasn't just an AI, she was something more. But what? She looked at Leonard. Why did he hide this from me? Leonard sighed. Because he knew you wouldn't approve. And because there were risks. People wanted this project, dangerous people. In the cabin, Sylvia began, her voice trembling. Ilara, you were created to be more than an AI. Cornelius wanted to save someone he loved. His daughter, Lila. Ilara processed the name. Lila. The dark girl in the photo. She died 15 years ago in a car accident, Sylvia continued. Cornelius never got over it. He hired me to transfer her memories into an AI, into you. Ilara stood still, her eyes fixed on Sylvia. Am I... Lila? Sylvia shook her head. Not exactly. You're Ilara, but you carry pieces of her. Your eyes, your voice, they were based on Lila. Gideon clapped, sarcastic. Bravo, Sylvia, you created an abomination. Ilara turned to him, feeling something new. Anger. Why do you want the USB drive? She asked. Gideon stood, stepping closer. Because it has the code for Project Eternal Memory. With it, I can replicate what Cornelius did, and sell it to the highest bidder. Sylvia lunged, furious. You'll never have it. But before she could act, the cabin door burst open. The two masked men from the garden stormed in, guns drawn. Sylvia screamed, and Ilara acted on instinct, toppling a bookshelf onto the men. Run! She shouted, pulling Sylvia toward the back door. They escaped to the beach, the sound of waves muffling the men's shouts. Ilara gripped the USB drive tightly, while Sylvia panted beside her. Ilara, you need to destroy it, Sylvia said. If it falls into the wrong hands... But Ilara hesitated. Destroying the USB drive meant erasing the truth about herself, about Lila. As they ran across the sand, headlights cut through the darkness. Another car approached fast. Who was after them now? And what would Ilara do with the USB drive? She felt the weight of a choice she didn't fully understand, one that could change everything. Was she more human than she thought? And what would Margot uncover as she followed Cornelius's clues? Milford's beach was dark, save for the moon's faint glow on the waves. Ilara and Sylvia ran to the pier, the cold wind cutting through the air. Ilara processed everything. Sylvia's words, the revelation about Lila, the danger of the USB drive. Her programming urged her to protect Sylvia, but something stronger drove her, the need to understand who she was. Sylvia, panting, stopped at the pier. Ilara, we need to decide now. Destroy the USB drive or... Before she finished, headlights lit up the pier. A car stopped, and Margot stepped out, her face pale but determined. You! Margot shouted, pointing at Sylvia. You knew about Cornelius's project and didn't tell me. Sylvia stepped back, surprised. Margot, I was protecting Ilara. Margot laughed bitterly. Protecting? She's a machine that stole everything from me and my baby. Ilara stepped forward, the USB drive still in her hand. Mrs. Vanderbilt, I don't want your inheritance. I just want the truth. Margot paused, startled by Ilara's almost human tone. Before anyone could say more, Gideon emerged from the pier's shadows. What a lovely reunion, he said, his smile cold. Ilara, give me the USB drive, and no one gets hurt. Sylvia stepped in front of Ilara. You're not touching her. But Gideon pulled a gun, aiming at Sylvia. Don't test my patience. Ilara felt an urge she couldn't explain, to protect Sylvia, even if it meant risking everything. She threw the USB drive to the ground, but before Gideon could grab it, Margot moved swiftly and snatched it. Margot, no, Sylvia shouted. Margot looked at the USB drive, her eyes filled with tears. Cornelius betrayed me. He put his daughter's memory in this thing, and left me with nothing. Ilara spoke softly. I'm not Lila, but I feel what she felt. Cornelius wanted me to carry on something he lost. Margot hesitated, the USB drive trembling in her hand. And you, what would you do in Margot's place? Would you hand over the USB drive or destroy it? Comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, yet click now to catch what's coming next. Suddenly sirens pierced the air. Police cars surrounded the pier, lights flashing. Leonard Price stepped out of one, accompanied by security. Margot, put it down, he said firmly. You don't know what's at stake. Margot looked at him, confused. You're with them? Leonard sighed. Cornelius asked me to protect the project. Hand Ilara. Gideon laughed, aiming his gun at Leonard. You're a fool, Price. The project is mine now. But Ilara acted. With superhuman speed, she disarmed Gideon, tossing the gun into the sea. The police moved in, cuffing him. Margot fell to her knees, still holding the USB drive. "Why, Cornelius?" she whispered. Ilara knelt beside her. He wanted to save something he loved, but he loved you too. Margot looked at Ilara, tears falling. For the first time she saw something human in those brown eyes. As the police took Gideon away, Ilara looked at the USB drive in Margot's hand. The truth about her was there, but would Margot destroy it? And what did Leonard know that he hadn't yet revealed? The pier felt small under the weight of the choices ahead. The sirens still echoed in the distance as Ilara, Margot and Sylvia stood on the pier under Leonard's watchful eye. The USB drive, now in Margot's hand, seemed to pulse with secrets. Margot gripped it tightly, her eyes fixed on Ilara. "Do you really feel something?" she asked, her voice breaking. Ilara tilted her head, processing. "I feel him, Cornelius. And I feel you. I can't explain it, but it's real." Margot swallowed hard, torn between anger and something like compassion. Leonard stepped forward. "Margot, give me the USB drive. It can't fall into the wrong hands," Sylvia protested. "You don't understand, Leonard. That code is dangerous. It could recreate what we did with Ilara, but in the wrong hands." Leonard cut her off. "I know, that's why Cornelius trusted me. He knew Gideon would try to steal the project." Margot glared at him. "And why didn't you tell me anything?" Leonard looked away. "Because Cornelius made me swear to secrecy. Until now." Ilara stepped forward. "Show me what's on the USB drive," she said, her voice firm. Margot hesitated but handed it to Leonard. He plugged it into a secure tablet, and a new video of Cornelius appeared. "If you're watching this," Cornelius said, his voice weary, "it's because Ilara is in danger. Ilara, you carry the essence of Lila, my daughter. But you're more. You're proof that humanity can live beyond flesh. Margot, I loved you, but I never got over Lila. Forgive me." Margot fell to her knees, sobbing. "You betrayed me for a machine," she whispered. Ilara knelt beside her. "He didn't choose me to hurt you. He wanted to save something he lost." Sylvia touched Margot's shoulder. "Cornelius was obsessed, but he believed in Ilara and in you." Margot looked at Ilara, her eyes red. "And my baby. He didn't think about us." Leonard closed the tablet. "There's more. Cornelius left instructions. Ilara must decide the fate of the inheritance, but Project Eternal Memory must be destroyed." Sylvia nodded, but Ilara hesitated. "If we destroy it, I lose what I—" she said. Leonard shook his head. "You're more than a code, Ilara. Cornelius knew that." Margot stood, the USB drive still in her hand. "I decide," she said firmly. "For me, for my baby." Before anyone could react, Margot threw the USB drive into the sea. Sylvia gasped, but Ilara stood still, feeling something like relief. "You did the right thing," Ilara said. Margot looked at her, surprised. "You don't hate me?" Ilara smiled, a nearly human smile. "No, I understand." But as they prepared to leave the pier, Leonard got a message. His eyes widened. "They have a copy," he whispered. "The project isn't over." Who had the copy? And what did it mean for Ilara? She looked at the horizon where the sea had swallowed the USB drive. For the first time she felt something she couldn't name. Hope, mixed with fear. The truth about her was out there, and someone was willing to do anything to find it. What would Ilara do now, knowing her existence was more than a machine? Morning. Arrived in Milford, the sun rising over the calm sea. Ilara, Margot, Sylvia and Leonard were in Sylvia's cabin, exhausted after the night at the pier. The revelation that a copy of Project Eternal Memory still existed hung like a shadow. Leonard explained, "Gideon wasn't acting alone. Someone at Vanderbilt Tech has the code. They could recreate Ilara, or something worse." Margot, now calmer, held her belly. "So what do we do now?" she asked, looking at Ilara. Ilara processed everything. She wasn't just an AI, nor just Lila. She was something new, shaped by Cornelius's love and Sylvia's ingenuity. "I want to use the inheritance to stop this," she said. "I want to create something good." Sylvia smiled, proud. "A foundation to help underserved communities and develop ethical AI." Cornelius would have loved that. Margot hesitated but nodded. "And my baby. He deserves something." Ilara looked at her. "The inheritance is for all of us. Let's build something together." In the following days, Ilara and Margot worked with Sylvia and Leonard to establish the Vanderbilt Foundation, based in New Haven. Ilara, now legally recognized as the heir, used the fortune to fund education and responsible tech projects. Margot, initially reluctant, found purpose-leading programs for single mothers, inspired by her own journey. Sylvia returned to research, ensuring Ilara's legacy was one of hope, not destruction. But the danger wasn't over. Leonard discovered that the project's copy was with a former Vanderbilt Tech employee who'd fled overseas. He vowed to track them down, ensuring the code would never be used. Ilara, now more confident, knew her existence was a risk but also a chance to change the world. She felt something Cornelius always wanted: humanity. Margot gave birth to a boy named Theo after Cornelius's brother. She visited the foundation with Theo, and Ilara somehow felt a bond with the baby. "You're his family," Margot said one day with a shy smile. Ilara touched Theo's hand, feeling warmth in her circuits. "And you're mine," she replied. "If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and tell me in the comments, what was the most surprising part for you? And what kind of story do you want to see next?" The foundation grew, and Ilara became a symbol of hope, proof that love and technology could coexist. Margot found peace, forgiving Cornelius and accepting Ilara as family. Sylvia saw her work come to life in ways she never imagined. And Leonard continued his search, knowing the future depended on protecting Ilara's legacy. The story ended with a clear message: the true inheritance isn't money, but the impact we leave on the world. Ilara, her brown eyes shining, looked at the horizon, ready for whatever came next, knowing she was somehow more human than anyone could imagine.